J Jinx!
Truck stop!
Cold Steel Spartan. One of the most mall ninja legit knives ever made. One of these is the real McCoy. The other one is a counterfeit. Can you guess which one is which? I gave these to my girlfriend. And at first, she picked the wrong one to be the real one, and then at some point she changed her mind and guessed correctly. I won't hold you in too much more suspense. This is the real one. This is the counterfeit. So this is going to be one of those comparison videos where, let's talk about and make comparisons between the two of these knives. One of the things that my girlfriend noticed and pointed out right away is that this one, the counterfeit, actually has the company logo on the pocket clip, which I think is the reason why she picked that one, because the real one actually doesn't. Interesting. So that's one very obvious difference. The other very obvious difference is the finish on the blades. The real one has kind of a metallic stone-washed finish. This one has more of a matte finish. I don't know if Cold Steel makes these in different finishes, so that may or may not be like a counterfeit thing. It just might be a mismatch between models or whatever. So I don't know. The obvious things kind of stop there. The rest of them are subtle fit and finish issues that one knife has, the other one doesn't. Coming back to the pocket clip, the way that it stands off from the counterfeit one is it sticks out a little bit further away from the handle than the real one, where it's just a little bit closer. Okay, so I mean that's a difference. Looking at the scales, now I don't know how they make these scales. I'm not sure if they're injection molded or if they're cut. They're probably molded. It's just easier. But if we kind of lay them side by side and go down, first of all, there is a difference in the finish. The legit knife is a little bit more dull, whereas the counterfeit has a shinier sheen to it. I don't know if that's because it's a different material or if it's just made in some kind of a different process. Flipping to the other side, the grooves have some differences as well. Not until you get further closer to the pommel, you'll notice that the legit one has a groove all the way down here that almost kind of overlaps with one of the pocket clip holes, because it's reversible, and that groove is just missing on the counterfeit. Speaking of the pocket clip holes, they are bigger on the counterfeit knife, smaller on the legit knife. And you can see some of the fit and finish issues already. There's a kind of a burr sticking out from the injection molding on the fake one that's on the right. And also, if you look at the lanyard hole, it's also a little bit bigger, but they never actually cleaned it up after they drilled through it. You got one of the burr things sticking up there too. So yeah, these are just little considerations that they didn't give a shit about wherever this was made. Going back to the hardware, you also notice that on the counterfeit, the pivot bolt is smaller in diameter than it is on the legit one. And the coloration of the hardware is also different. It's more kind of silvery on the counterfeit, the screws and the pins, whereas on the legit one, the pivot screw is just a little bit matted. And if we go down looking at the other hardware, you'll see that the fake one has slightly smaller screws. There's less head and more hole, whereas in the Cold Steel legit screws, the heads are just kind of different. Looking from the top down, another couple of differences. The pin that holds the back spring in has been kind of cut away with the groove in the legit one, whereas in the counterfeit one, they just kind of poked the pin through and said, good enough. Also, lots of gappage going on between that back spring and the scales. There's maybe a little bit going on with the legit one, but it's nowhere near as egregious as it is with the fake one. Let's check out the thumb studs. Lots of differences. Well, I don't know. They're not thumb studs. Thumb discs? They kind of look like bread to me. Well, first of all, different colors. The legit one is just a little bit more of a subdued gray. Looking on the side, the legit thumb toast has narrower jimping grooves, and there are more of them compared to the rougher looking grooves on the fake one. And also the positioning. Notice the angle on the legit Spartan kind of follows the angle of the spine here, or the beginning of it. And on this one, it's kind of bent forward in a little bit of an awkward position. And that's because somebody was a little bit off that day, and maybe the hole was a little bit too forward, or the groove, which is supposed to sit nicely with the blade, just wasn't cut to the right dimensions. So they said, well, just put a screw through it and fuck it, it ships. So now you have this awkward downward sloping thumb bread that's also very loose. And then we get to the blade itself. Besides the finish, notice the swedge on the legit one. It's a bit of a shallower angle than it has on the counterfeit one. Not very much else other than those two things. Of course, the labeling, the logo, a very, very sharply contrasting black Spartan on the stonewashed legit blade. And on the counterfeit blade, it's like kind of splotchy and a much more subdued color. Coming back to the other side, the Cold Steel logo is very different. And this one says it was made in Taiwan, but so does the fake one. Was it? I don't know. I believe this one was in Taiwan. And it says AUS 10A steel for the legit one. Don't know what this is made out of, though. But it is a lot lighter. Like, they're both blade heavy when held like so. But noticeably, the AUS 10A steel is heavier than whatever that is. And if we have a really close look at the sharpening choils, you can see that it's more pronounced in the legit knife, not so much in the counterfeit. Looking from above, the angle that the legit knife takes from the spine to the downward sloping part meeting the swedge, it's actually a bit of a sharper angle, whereas it's more subdued in the counterfeit. Then we get to the walk and talk. These knives have incredibly heavy back springs, heavy in the sense that you need strong hands to actuate it. Either that, or I need to work out more. And once you get it going, it's a pretty smooth transition to closing with a nice snap. The counterfeit one takes a hell of a lot more force to unlock. I don't know why. And it's a rough journey to get to the closing position. There's just not good fit and finish inside there, and then the sound is noticeably different. Same thing with the opening noise. Well, let's do a quick dowel test. See how consistent this grind is, which is a bit of a challenge given the extreme curvature. Feels smooth, feels consistent. Oh, I detect a teeny tiny inconsistency right about there. No matter. Okay, it feels different. It's still very consistent, but different. And there is an inconsistency right here. It feels a little bit more pronounced might be able to see if something's going on there. Maybe not. I'm telling you that this dowel thing, you could really pick up on small things. It's great. And finally, the price difference. I bought the legit one from Smoky Mountain Knife Works, their storefront, when I went on a road trip late last year, and I paid a little bit over $70 for it. Wish.com, $8. With shipping, it was, I don't know, closer to 20. But, yeah, those are all the differences between the Counterfeit and the real McCoy. So, my first fake versus real video. This has been JJ Jinx, Truck Stop Knives.